back then I think the most expensive retail shoe was when the LeBron 9 Elite came out, and it was $250. And I remember people were like losing their minds, like $250 retail for a shoe is crazy.
I've always been one who's been like very like I was really shy growing up, and I was really like reserved. I wouldn't really take too many risks, and I learned as I got older, nothing really happens if you don't take risks.
If it took 10 rejections to get one yes,
right,
I would sprint to those 10 rejections.
Totally,
and I think that lesson applies to everything. Like,
completely agree.
I will sprint towards failure every time if I know that, you know, learning the lessons from the failure will lead to a greater success.
Totally. What's up, guys? This is the Shoes Off Podcast. I'm Seth, and our guest today is Dustin from Soleply.
What's going on?
How's it going, man? Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm stoked, man. My introduction to you was a Dajan Park video about a year ago. Well, at first I've seen your store before, but I didn't know who was actually behind it.
Yeah.
And then I saw that video, and then I met you at SneakerCon Riyadh a couple months ago. Or I think we had talked before, but I actually like spent time with you in SneakerCon Riyadh.
Yep. You were our ride home. I really appreciate that. I will not forget that. I really do appreciate that.
They had us flying into JFK, but we're both based in Philly, so it's like...
I did not want to take the train with 4 suitcases like I did on the way there, so...
How many sneakers did you... Well, first of all, let's say who you are. You're the owner of Soleply.
I am.
So
one of the owners.
One of the owners.
I have one other partner, Tommy. He's more, no pun intended, he's a little bit like the silent partner.
Gotcha.
So podcast is not really his thing. He's more like the operations guy. He kind of hangs out in the background, takes care of the things that need to be taken care of.
Right.
And I'm more so like the person who's on camera, the person who's the face, you know, doing more of the CEO type stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So with that now being known, you brought to SneakerCon Riyadh hundreds of pairs of sneakers, right?
Yeah. So we brought a ton of ASICs, a ton of New Balance, just kind of the stuff that's actually really popular for us in store. We brought with us to Riyadh. Anything that honestly we kind of had overstock in.
Right. That makes sense. And that's interesting. That brings up a point I wanted to talk to you about, and I guess we're getting into it now. What is the difference in sneaker markets that you've noticed between the United States, which is obviously your main market, and then somewhere like Riyadh? Like, is there a huge disconnect, or not so much disconnect, but a huge difference in style between the two countries?
To be honest, I didn't see a huge difference in style.
Okay.
When we were out there, ASICs were still like probably our most popular. Like every time someone came to the booth, they wanted to try on a pair of ASICs. A couple people were asking for 4s, which obviously, you know, I mean, it's a timeless colorway, and I think it's popular no matter where you go.
Right.
But I think over there, especially, they really... The general I mean, you can even speak to it too. I think like the people who we saw coming to the show, a majority of them weren't sneakerheads. They were more so general public who like were just curious about what was going on.
Totally.
You know, Riyadh in general, like I didn't feel like it was like shows here where, like I said, like everyone who comes in, you know, has some kind of preconceived notion of shoes or like has some background knowledge on shoes. It was more so the general public of Riyadh coming to like, oh, like what is this?
Right.
It was kind of just for them to like dip their toes in the water, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's. How would you compare it to like a U.S. sneaker con? Is that because I feel like the vibe's a little bit different?
It was very. I thought it was very different.
Yeah,
I love sneaker shows here. Like I always, that's somewhere where I really feel in my element. Just because like coming up, I mean, I've been going to sneaker shows since I was like 12.
That's awesome.
So, you know, now we're down. I'm 25 over the hill, but in the sneaker game maybe. So, you know, this 13 years of
hey man,
vocalizing that is insane. It's 13 years of going to sneaker shows. So I feel at home at sneaker shows. And Riyadh did feel different. It felt more like an exhibition, if that makes sense. It felt more like almost like, I don't want to say like we were part of like an art piece, but like it was like, again, an exhibition of, hey, like this is what sneaker culture is. Because I think for where Saudi is right now, like this kind of what they communicated to us too, was like they're trying to really increase the amount of tourism they have. So they're trying to get, you know, just kind of, I don't want to say like American-file, whatever, however you phrase that, but they're definitely trying to get their population a little bit more assimilated with like some Western culture and like get that. They're very interested in it. Like, you know, you saw when like a couple people from that one table that had like the custom cars and the basketball stuff, they did like that little parade through. Because I think, again, like they are very curious about Western culture. I wouldn't say they're in love with it, but they definitely have a lot of curiosity around it.
That makes sense. It was really a pretty wild.
That was kind of the
event.
read I got.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it was I really wanted to know your perspective of it because so I went with just APTHCRY and like we had socks and shirts, and I think it was interesting seeing what resonated with people within our little like apparel, you know, because people were mainly there for sneakers, and so like we weren't getting some of the same crowds that maybe you were getting, or maybe the booths next to us. But like it was interesting seeing like one day we had out, you know, multicolor socks. They weren't moving, and then we put out like pink shirts. For some reason, the pink shirts were flying. For I have no idea why, but it was like stuff that like we never would have expected was moving in Riyadh, or we wouldn't expect to move in the U.S. as quickly. But then for some reason in Riyadh, like, you know, it was like, I think it was, I forget the color of sock that we had, but there was one color of sock that was like moving like crazy in Riyadh. We sold out of it. And
I also wouldn't expect something like pink, like something loud, because the whole culture, like you can test this too, was very modest. Which I was a big fan of. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go out at night. And I really like the aspect. Like we made some friends there. We went out and like you go to a coffee shop instead of a bar, which I was a big fan of. And like you have conversation as opposed to just like, again, I'm not a drinker. I've never gone out to a bar one time, but like it's just not my scene. Right. Whereas out there, I felt like it was a little bit more, I'll say tame. Yes. I was gonna say cultured, but it's just a different culture, I guess.
It's definitely more tame, and I completely agree. I feel the same way. Like I don't drink or smoke anymore, at least, and it's really nice to be able to have.
You have a better reason than I do. You got a family. I'm just boring, you know.
No, to be honest with you, it was like it started. So for a while I was living in New York and I was going out a lot, and then I just like when I started YouTube, it's like things started slowing down because I'm like, listen, building this YouTube career is more important to me than coming home from work and then just going out. Right. Like it was fun. But, you know, now, you know.
You got to think about the long term.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also, too, like.
It's all about those exponential gains.
Exactly.
One step at a time.
100%. And I think a lot of people, it's interesting talking about, like, content journeys and stuff. A lot of people don't realize it really takes a lot of time. And it really is. You have to put aside a lot of the stuff that you really enjoy doing. Because
I watched your podcast with Chase before.
Oh, nice.
I was on the treadmill this morning because I got to take it easy at the gym this week. It's a deload week for me. But, yeah, you know, that was part of your conversation with him, too. Just the amount of groundwork that you have to lay before, you know, things really start to pop off. And then that kind of sets the base for, like he said, you have that one viral video when they have all these other videos that audience can trickle down to, but you have to, again, lay that foundation first. So
100%. I completely agree. So tell me about your content journey. So obviously you've got the store. Do you have your own separate, so do you do social for the store and for yourself, or is it purely for the store? Or
we only do social for the store. Okay. And to be honest, what we do, I'm very, I'll say self-deprecating, but it's extremely lackluster in my opinion at the moment. Right now, it's literally just like we had a video person at one point. That person we let go, so we're kind of like we're in a major transitional period right now, just in general with the company. Fair enough. Anybody who has done any research on Soleply, you're more than welcome to. Just look it up. You'll get the gist. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about it a little bit more later on. But right now it's literally just us taking videos on the phone. I think like literally like quality is obviously extremely important, but at the end of the day, like you have to just get something up. Totally. And right now that's kind of where we're at. So, you know, I'll have an idea. I'll have ChatGPT kind of refine it a little bit, come up with a basic, you know, script, whatever we're going to shoot. Right. And luckily, like I have pretty much, maybe this isn't the best way to phrase it, but I have like no self-respect. So I'll do whatever on camera. It'll be fine. And then as long as the audience thinks it's engaging or funny or it communicates, you know, what we're trying to get across, it does okay.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that doing stuff with your phone feels a lot more authentic than really setting up like, I mean, podcasts are different obviously, but like, you know, there's sort of this middle ground between cinematic content, TV content, YouTube content, and then there's like the short form content. And there's something that people really love about that authentic, like this is a behind the scenes almost look at like this person and the real you. And I think that phone really kind of forces you to do that. Because as much as, sure, you can make a phone look really nice and cinematic, but it takes a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like getting that really cool, authentic, like this is what we're doing today, or this is, you know, the shoe, or this is whatever. I think people really, I mean, even just like looking at what content pops in sneakers right now, it's like, for example, Rami the Icon literally sets up, I don't know what kind of camera, but it just, that's it.
It might be a phone, honestly.
It really could be.
But it could
Who
be.
Knows? I mean, but
one of my favorite channels outside of shoes is Channel 5 Live with Andrew Callahan.
Yeah, dude, I just watched that this morning.
I literally, I love his content. And he talked about it too. It's like, he's like, all right, we got the most, like when they first started, he's like, we got the most busted, oldest camera you can possibly get. Because like, I think, like you said, it kind of, it works towards the authenticity, but it also just like, it makes it a little bit more unique. I don't know.
Totally.
It definitely gives you a real feel for, especially with what he does, you know.
Yep.
I think that stuff is cool.
And it forces you to really focus on the story too.
Yeah.
Like I was another video I was watching this morning. It was a sponsor post from Casey Neistat about this new, I think it was a 360 camera or something. And he was going through his story of like how he started his YouTube channel and how initially with the cameras that he had back in the mid 2000s, how it was sort of, rather than being a tool, it was an obstacle that you had to overcome. Now your phone is better than all of the cameras from back then.
Right.
And just having your phone really allows you to like, okay, well the quality's better, but it's still not like a DSLR, but it really focuses you or makes you think like, okay, how am I going to make this story interesting enough so that someone looks past the quality of the content?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Looks past the quality of the video more so at the actual content of what I'm making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about how you came up. So you obviously started in sneakers, and you were going to sneaker. What was your first sneaker show?
I'll start my first sneaker show ever. Oh my god, it was either a Soul Exchange.
Nice.
I think it was a Soul Exchange. I don't know if it was the I Play America Center or it was when they were doing Temple.
Gotcha.
They used to do, you know.
Yep.
I don't know if you were definitely around back then. No offense. but they used to do, you know, they would go Temple and then they go I Play America Center and just kind of bounce back and forth. And then they did the Javits Center right after SneakerCon. But my first show ever was probably it was Temple SneakerCon, but it was a Soul Exchange, but it was when they did the even smaller event.
The one on like Market Street?
I think so.
Okay.
This was like, dude, I don't even remember. If I drove past, I could probably point to it and be like, oh my God, that's the building.
Right.
But I don't remember exactly. Like, I know it was in Philly. I know it was Soul Exchange.
Yeah.
And I remember setting up on the floor next to like a couple other kids from my school. I remember, asking my friends like who were kind of into shoes, but not really, and going and just, you set up on the floor. You're in back then it wasn't even like a trading pit. It was just the floor. And, you set up your stuff and you're just, when people walk by with stuff you want, oh, yo, like, what size is that? And you're just trying to, oh, I got these. Like, do you want to make a deal, this, that, whatever? And it was just my personal collection.
Right.
Before shoes, though, so to get the money to even get to that point, I actually, like, my sneaker journey, I think, started like a lot of other people. I don't know how it was for you, but, like, every kid in my school had 2011 Hyperdunks. That was the shoe.
Yeah.
And I remember, they had the Blake Griffin edition. They had the Blake Griffin dunk competition, premium edition. They had all the PEs that came out. And every kid in my school just had the normal like colorways.
Right.
But I wanted a pair so bad. I think retail back then was $160. It was kind of high,
okay.
right? Or was it $125? No, it was $125.
Okay.
$125 was retail for the regular. $160, I believe, was retail, or $140 was retail for the premium.
Right. That makes sense. So like the regular now would be like $160, and the premium would be like $200 or $190. Sort of. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Back then, I think the most expensive retail shoe was when the LeBron 9 Elite came out, and it was $250. And I remember people were like losing their minds. Like $250 retail for a shoe is crazy. But no, I wanted that shoe. My parents were not going to buy me that shoe because they couldn't afford to buy that shoe. So I started actually dog sitting to make money to buy my own shoes. And then from there, I bought, the shoes that I wanted. I remember being like a super nerd about it too. Like I wouldn't even wear them. Like I would buy them. And then I remember being paranoid, like, oh, someone's going to figure out that I have these and they're going to come to my house and steal them. So I'd put them in my drawers and put my clothes over them so that they were hidden. So like, it was an interesting time. But
that's a true sneaker fan, though. That's a true person who really appreciates the shoe.
You know when you like when you get the feeling like I'm not even gonna wear this. Like you just take it out and you look at it.
Right.
That's when you're like you're actually like geeking over a shoe.
Totally.
And that's what it was back then. That was like you looked at it, you were like, this is a piece of art.
Dude, 100. I still feel that way. I'm 33. I still feel that way.
That's good. If you could keep that feeling, that's like I do that for like if it's like something crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of LeBron PEs still. Like if I see something that like, damn, like nobody else has this.
Right.
This is like really something different, or the quality is really just like above and beyond.
Yeah.
That's exciting. But if you can keep that feeling, that's good. Especially once you see like what we do, and I'm sure other resellers can attest to this, specifically resellers, like you start going to, every single SneakerCon that happens in the country, or every Soul Exchange, or every local show, whatever, and you just see so many shoes over and over and over again, it does become dull. That's why you gotta like, the more exciting stuff is like, oh my God, this PE that I've never seen before. Like, you might only see this shoe once a year because it just doesn't exist anywhere else. Like that literally might be the only pair that exists in whatever size. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, did that for a long time. Not a long time, but bought shoes that I wanted for myself. I was one of those kids where like, oh, like I can fit a 9 through a 13, like whatever.
I've been there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I eventually realized like, hey, like there's a pretty good business here. Like,
Right.
I should be trading the ones I'm not wearing, selling the ones I'm not wearing, and just kind of like working my way up to get more expensive pairs. You know, this is a pretty common archetype in the sneaker industry.
Right.
So that's what I did, and I just started flipping shoes. I never was someone who like would go for like new releases. I camped out for shoes maybe like once or twice. First shoe I ever camped out for was KD4 Ant Pearl, Cab 4, and it was actually LeBron 9 PE Taxi release.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
I was 13 or 14. And I remember camping out from 8 p.m. till I think they opened the doors of the mall at 8 or 9, and then Foot Locker opened at 10, and I got nothing.
Yeah, dude, that's all my camp out stories, man.
Yeah.
You're ballsy though. 13, 14, that's young to camp out.
My dad
man.
is very liberal. He would let me get away with like
That's great.
Not get away, but he believed in like. He always tell me, you know, you play the odds. Like, you'll
Right.
probably be fine. Especially, like, you go to Cherry Hill Mall. I don't think anything's really popping off at Cherry Hill Mall, even, you know, at 1 or 2 in the morning. It
Right.
won't be that crazy. There's witnesses. You'll be fine.
Right, exactly.
I used to, in high school, I would not pay attention in class. I would literally just go on Facebook Marketplace and make deals for shoes, like,
Right.
during class. And then
Right.
I would take my car, once I had a car, and I would drive over the bridge and I'd do all my sneaker meetups. And I remember there was
That's
a
awesome.
McDonald's on Torresdale Ave that I would always have people meet me in Philly. And I would go there. I go to Kensington, like wherever to pick up
Wow.
shoes. And my dad would be like, yeah, like whatever. Like just, you
Yeah.
know, if you have an issue, like just call me. And I'm like, it'll probably be fine. And I didn't think anything of it because I was
Right.
like just making shoe deals. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
definitely, I've been extremely lucky to I haven't been robbed at a sneaker meetup. I've always been pretty cautious. Like at least I
Right.
look and make sure like their profile is real, this or whatever.
Right.
We've had some shady dealings, but not robbed.
That's
thank
good.
God.
Dude,
Yeah.
Kenzie, how long ago was this that you were going to, like, how long ago, how many years ago? Was it 10 years ago-ish?
No, I was even still doing like meetups in person myself. Like we opened Soleply in 21.
Okay.
I was probably still doing like meetups myself in like 2020. So
Wow.
I had people who like would just regularly sell to me.
Right, right.
So if they would still hit me up and they lived in Kensington, I would still go down and pick up shoes.
Dude, because Kensington's been bad for, like, decades.
Yeah,
Like, it's been bad. Maybe not
let's
decades,
be
but,
honest.
like, a
no,
while.
it's been bad.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying it hasn't been bad.
Right.
It's just, again, like I'm definitely my father's son. Where because I've been doing it for so long, like
Right.
going down there to be, it's like what's the worst? Like,
Right.
let's statistically, even in the worst neighborhoods, I think what is like the violent crime rate is like maybe what like 10 out of 100,000 people really have
Fair.
an incident. So it's like those are good odds. Like if I could get those odds every time, I'll
Right.
take those odds in almost anything. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
hey, if you're making $50 to $100 on a sneaker, I would, in the same position.
I didn't have a family at the time.
Fair
I was
enough.
14 years old.
Oh,
so,
totally.
Not 14. I had a car at that point, so I was 16 or 17.
Wow, still,
But,
man. That's, like I said, your balls. That's great, man. I feel like that's necessary.
I think in life you got to say like, again, what's the absolute worst that happens?
Fair enough. That's an interesting perspective. I think I've always been one who's been like very like I was really shy growing up and I was really like reserved. I wouldn't really take too many risks, and I learned as I got older, nothing really happens if you don't take risks.
Oh my God, you gotta.
So it's
I
like,
used to say to my friends all the time,
Yeah.
like one of my favorite sayings is just jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, nothing happens unless you make it happen.
Totally.
So
Totally.
I think that's been it's been good at times, it's been bad at times. I'm
Right.
definitely one of the, is it less risk averse or more risk averse? I'm definitely less risk averse, right? Because if you take risks.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I
So
should
I'm-
know, but I don't know.
I can't think of it either. But I am definitely not one to be afraid to take risks.
Right.
Because again, like,
Right.
there's a couple things in my background that just kind of make me like, I'm not, in my opinion, I'm playing with house money at this point.
Fair enough.
So
Okay.
it's like,
Fair enough.
like a little bit of background on that. Like my dad's a lot older. He's like 80. He's 84.
Okay,
And my
okay.
mom is 70. So obviously I wasn't planned. So like I said, playing with house money. At the end of the day, like what's the absolute worst that happens? Like,
Right.
I'm here. I might as well make the most of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a really good perspective on life. I think a lot of people, they either live too safe, like I was initially, or they go completely off the other
I
end.
got to
and
get
you're
closer
like,
to the middle ground. I
I
gotta
feel like
take
you're
some
closer to the
lessons
middle
from
ground
you.
than you think, but you've done a really good job, I think, of really.
More recently, maybe. Again, the folks at home could do their research, but more recently, we're becoming increasingly more conservative.
Cool.
But
cool,
you know,
cool.
if you're all the way at the end of the spectrum and you become more conservative, you hopefully you'll end up somewhere in the middle.
Right. I feel like it's good to be. Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's also good that you've experienced a lot of things too, because that's one of the only ways you can learn in life is to really do it
I think
yourself.
failure
you know?
is the greatest precursor for success. You know,
100%.
I think
100%.
You know, if you I'm recently single, so a lot of the TikToks and reels,
not
TikTok, but a lot of the reels I'm getting are all the, like, so what if she rejects you? Like, it's fine. Like, this, you're still a king. Like, fix your crown. But one of my favorite ones is like, the framing of, if it took 10 rejections to get one yes,
right?
I would sprint to those 10 rejections.
Totally.
And I think that lesson applies to everything. Like,
completely agree.
I will sprint towards failure every time if I know that, learning the lessons from the failure will lead to a greater success.
Totally. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so continuing on, you were doing the sales, and then you opened Soleply.
Yeah.
2021.
So it actually
during COVID.
Yeah. So we opened literally like we were masked up, and it was like you had to be really strict about like how many people you let in the store.
Right.
We have pictures of like the lines that we got and stuff like that. We did a really good job in the beginning.
That's awesome.
Which is something that we're working on getting back towards. The original feeling. I think. I'll come back to like Soleply, but some of my favorite stores are obviously everybody in this industry should know Round 2, District 1.
Of course.
Those are really Kicktronics is like absolutely fire right
where's
now.
that at?
They're in North Jersey.
Oh, cool.
But they do the same thing, like a phenomenal job of just creating a ton of community, and it really is rooted in like, hey, like we give out deals pretty regularly, and
that's awesome.
They're not greedy with their pricing, and
right.
they're very again, they just kind of do good deals. Like
right.
Every week they do a bunch of stuff for free on Sundays and
that's
stuff like
awesome.
that. And if you look at District 1, right, like how they build a massive following, right? Like, every single deal, I think they had like probably a 3-year streak of people camming out because every single day it was like, we have this list of deals that'll be available the next morning. Right. So you just become known, your brand becomes known as, that's like the local spot that hooks it up. Because if you think about, like, think back to like Round 2, like that was the whole vibe. Like, I drove down to Richmond with my first mentor in shoes, Nike Nate. I drove down there just to see the store because, like, back then it was like the whole thing was like not only Sean was a cultural icon, but just like Round 2 in general, like nobody was touching them.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It was a completely different vibe. Like what they created was like, it really was bigger than shoes, which is why I think Sean was able to like branch out, and he's his own brand to a certain extent.
Totally. How would you say, so for someone starting a business, whether it's in sneakers, whether it's in whatever the case may be, how would you say you get that unique sort of personality? Like how would you really get yourself out there and create what you just said?
So I can't speak from firsthand experience just because it's something that we're still like working on doing.
Okay.
Like I said, we're finding our way now. But just from like a bird's eye view, like I said, from looking at someone like Round 2, looking at someone like even Kicktronics does a really good job of it. They're close to like, I think 750,000 followers on Instagram.
That's awesome.
Or again, District 1. I think it's about just like being extremely authentic to who you are. Obviously that's like super cliche, but I also think it's more about giving back to the people who support you.
That's
so
awesome.
if you get a good deal on a shoe, right? Sell it for a good deal.
Right.
Like
totally.
That's just, it's pretty common sense. I don't think you have to get super ethereal when you start thinking about like what actually makes people fans of brands. I think it's more so like, do the thing that there's some content, right? If you make a video and that video does really well, you should probably make more videos. Again, that was another thing you talked to Chase with about, like, if you make a video that does really well, make more things that are similar to that video because clearly your audience is responding to that. So if you know that people are going to respond to steals, if you know that people are going to respond to giveaways, if you know that your audience is going to respond to, a certain drop or whatever it is, like, just continue to repeat those things, and by nature, you'll have exponential growth.
That makes sense. I mean, that's really, because that's something that I think that you said you're working on it. We're working on it as Apothecary too, like finding like,
it's always, listen,
it's something, it's always
in life in general, business in general. It's one of a book I just finished was The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's top of mind for me right now. But no, I think in life, in business, everything, it's an infinite game. So it's not something that you're ever like, oh, I finally have figured it out. It's like, no, like it's a work in progress. And the more you learn about it, the more you realize you actually know nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, I for real.
You can probably, you could probably attest more to that being a father than anything, right? I'm sure that's like every day it's something new.
It's something new for sure, man. But like even like it seems like, dude, even with Apothecary, like just selling socks, like that's something that there's always something new and something different. And it's like, I mean, same thing with sneakers. It's always the same product, but there's always weird problems that arise, or like,
and it's always something
works
not even necessarily what you don't know, but the things you don't know you didn't even know.
Exactly.
Like things that come out of nowhere that like, oh, I didn't know we needed to do that, or that was a metric that like I didn't even know that existed.
Exactly, dude, it's crazy.
Right.
An example of something that was kind of like that was about a year ago. We did a Rolex giveaway for like a $13,000 Submariner. We bought it. We spent.
I should have entered.
Dude, you should, bro.
I've been doing better on dating apps right now,
bro. Dude, if you had entered, your odds would have been like amazing, like really good. So basically, what happened was,
I'm an odds guy, you know.
Dude, it would have like you. I think your chances. Well, okay. So let me go through the story. So basically, what happened was, we bought a Rolex, thinking like this is gonna blow up.
Right.
So what we did was, dude, for real, exactly. So we did a.
Especially back then, it was like.
I know.
They were super topical.
Dude, it was like an older one, and it was like the best price we could find was $13K for this sub. So we bought this sub, and then we're like, okay, what we'll do is, obviously, because of the way that giveaway rules work, you have to have some free entry system. So we did like, mail in a postcard, but also the main entry was like we had like made a special edition shirt that's like a pretty much broke shirt, and if you bought the shirt, you had a chance to enter for the Rolex. And like we had a special bundle. It was like a shirt and a hat, I think is what it was the specific entry, and. People liked the clothes, but they wanted to buy it. They were like, I don't even care about this Rolex entry. It was wild, and so people were buying the shirt separately because they didn't even think about the Rolex. So we ended up making just enough to cover the price of the Rolex, but that was it. We were thinking like this is gonna be a huge thing. So we ended up, I think, like maybe 500 people.
So they had to pay. So they bought the shirt, and then if they wanted the shirt with the entry, it was more.
It was like a shirt and a hat. I think we made a bundle. Like a special
so if you
bundle.
bought the bundle, you got
an entry.
They only wanted the shirt.
So we listed the shirt separately too, just for people who just wanted to buy the shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like maybe $20 more for the bundle.
I'm assuming you got the inspiration from like the car people who do.
It was
that's
exactly what it was. Actually, I think I forget.
I'm not a
exactly
car guy, but I get all their stuff.
It was that same sort of thing. Yeah. And obviously there was a free entry, and we did have a couple people enter through the free entry. We did a random entry like on live and everything, or random. Selection on live and everything. This guy in Guam won, which is I'm happy for him. It was awesome. But
shipping was probably
it was crazy,
yeah.
bro. It was nuts, especially with the insurance. But then we did I think it was like a giveaway for like a pair of shoes like the next month, and the amount for like a $400 pair of shoes, and it was a slightly different giveaway. Like it wasn't like a bundle like that, but like the amount of interest that we had in the shoes was 20 times more than the Rolex, even though it was a $400 pair of shoes.
Yeah, and I wonder if that has more to do with your audience being more interested in shoes.
That's exactly what we found out.
Okay,
that was exactly what it was.
Did you change the product too? Like, was it not a bundle this time? Did you also change that?
I think it was. It was like a different kind of. I forget exactly. It was like I don't remember exactly what it was, but the interest. The main takeaway that I had was like literally it could be something that's worth 10 times less.
Yeah.
And people just were more interested in it.
Right.
They only cared about the shoes.
It connects more with them.
Exactly.
You are, when I...
No, 100%.
Like when I told people I'm doing a podcast, it's like, they know it's a shoe podcast, obviously, or something with business, shoes, whatever, because like that's pretty much all I do.
Yeah.
But like, I say, oh yeah, it's a shoe guy. You know what
exactly.
I mean? Like you're the shoe guy. Like that's, you become the shoe guy.
And that's
my email is literally sneaker man, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. I'm the shoe guy. Like,
that's awesome. Well, I mean, that's sort of and you know what? I've talked to some people and they're like, "Oh, I hate being in this box of being a shoe guy," but I love it. Like, it's great. Like,
if that's what you know,
exactly,
double down.
Exactly, 100%.
Right, own it,
dude. And it's crazy, but it's exactly what you're saying. Like, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know. I always knew. This sounds dumb, but I always knew that our audience was sneaker fans. Yeah. We're sneaker fans, but to the extent where it's like they would much rather win a $400 pair of sneakers than a $13,000 Rolex was wild to me.
Yeah,
like wild.
When you're dealing with, I feel like sometimes when you're dealing with people, you can pretty much take logic and throw it out the window.
Totally. And that's everyone has a different perspective on life. Everyone values different things, and I get it.
Right.
Totally. But it's really interesting. Like a lot of times monetary value isn't what people are searching for.
Right.
And it's
they want something they really connect with.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like they'd rather have the Union LA Air Jordan 1s, well at least the new ones. I just recently we did a giveaway for this podcast.
I like
with
the old ones better too.
I did too, yeah.
Like
I did too.
The Salon ones, those are way better.
The Bethany's Beauty Supplies.
Cool shoe. I think it's super unique. I don't know why that shoe is so cheap.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That to me is crazy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right. And it was they added what was it from the Magista? No, not the what was the stitching from? What shoe? Do you remember? Was it the Magista? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's from the Footscape.
The Footscape. Thank you.
The woven Footscape.
The Footscape. Yep.
I want to pair them so bad with like the cow print.
Dude,
those are so fire.
Oh, the Footscapes. Yeah. Weren't they supposed to bring that back out? Did they ever bring it out again?
They did re-release them.
Okay.
I feel like I definitely did see them around at a sneaker show.
Right.
But I like low tops. I like things that are comfortable. Like,
right.
I mean, even right now I'm wearing Sabrina's, but like.
Oh, I was gonna ask. Oh, yeah. Very nice.
I think pretty much
very nice.
all I wear is like the athletic stuff.
Right.
But those are like anything that you can daily wear that's super comfortable. I'm a big fan of.
Totally.
The big bulky stuff doesn't really do it for me, especially because like I want something I wear to the gym, and
right.
then immediately, one of the perks of working for yourself is you can wear whatever you want. So
that's the best.
I'm not dressing up really.
Well, tell me about what you wear when you're playing basketball, because we talked before the podcast. Like you play 4 times a week.
I'm very committed to if I find something I like, I will just wear it a ton.
Okay.
So I play in Freak. I think they're Freak 3s.
Okay.
The ones
nice.
the Giannis's.
Wow.
They're a little older, but like,
right.
You can get them a little cheaper. That
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So
how often do you go through a pair? Like how often do you need to buy a new pair?
I probably change my pair. So So I just got lucky. There was a guy on eBay who was selling 11 pairs in the color I wear, the color I like, all my size. So I just messaged him. We made a deal for all 11 pairs. He was like, you know, if I ship them without the box, I can do even less. I was like, dude, I'm going to wear every single pair of these into the ground. I don't care about the box. So I got each pair for like $50.
That's amazing.
So now I have my basketball shoes for probably the next 2 years.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
I cycle through probably like a pair every 3 months.
Right.
But it's good to, you rotate them.
Yeah, the traction starts wearing down. Yep, totally.
I play indoors, so, you know,
Yep.
it's a nice court. It's not the traction. They always like, the freaks specifically, and not even the freaks, all the basketball shoes, they like burst for me.
Really?
Like the bottom will just open up.
Bro, I guess I'm not playing hard enough. I've
least
never had that.
At least I know that there's really an air unit in there.
Right, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's wild. Okay, wow. And you know what's funny? That's a mindset when you came back to buying those sneakers. Like I don't think I ever would have thought of that. Like as a reseller or as someone who came up like buying tons of sneakers, like that was a great thought. Like you saved a bunch of money buying 11 pairs at once.
Right.
Like I would have just been like, okay, well I can't do that, so I'll just buy one for $150.
I also like I like what I like.
Exactly.
They changed the like, you know, from the Freak 1 to the 2 to the 3, whatever. Like the KD line has always been one of my favorites.
Totally.
Right? Not even because I'm a big KD fan, but like I mean KD's great, right?
Yeah.
But I just like the silhouettes. Like the 4 was fire.
Yep.
The 3 is great.
Yep.
2 is not my favorite.
No, yeah.
But I mean the 7 is probably my favorite shoe. One of my favorite shoes.
The KD7s?
The KD7 and Pearl is my favorite shoe.
Is that
of
the
all
one with
time.
like the wing, the
That
white
has
wing?
the,
That
yeah,
kind
it has the white wing on the front.
Yep.
And then it's got the his angel tattoo.
Oh,
on the tongue.
dope.
And
That's
it's like
awesome.
it's mostly white with a little bit of pink, some
Right.
gold on it.
I do like
the
that one a
gold
lot.
foil swoosh in the front.
Yeah.
That shoe is just one. The KD7 was like super comfortable. Like I'm just a big fan of the shoe. But then what I was getting to is like, you go to the 8 and then you go to the 9 or like even the 4 to the 5, like they're completely different feel. It's a completely different shoe.
True.
And I always thought it was funny that on the bottom of all the player shoes, it'll say like specifically designed to the specifications of like whatever athlete.
Yep.
And then I would think in my head, well, if you change the entire design every year, it's not like his foot changed every year. Like, is that true? Or are you just
so interesting?
Like, you know what I mean? Like the feel will be completely different from one year to the next. Like you look at even the new Jaws that they just dropped pictures
What do you
of.
think of those?
I like them.
I do too.
The colorway's cool too.
It seems like the first actual Jaw-inspired shoe that they've made.
It almost looks like an indoor soccer shoe to me.
It does.
Like with how like, low profile it is.
Yep.
I need a little bit more cushioning. I don't think I'll be balling in it.
Right.
But if they release a good colorway, I would get a pair.
Right.
But yeah, like if you look at them between the 1, the 2, and then that one, I mean, it's a completely different feel. It looks like a completely different shoe. And I guarantee like the traction's different. The fit, even the fit will be different.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm questioning, you know.
That's so interesting.
The word in there is probably bullshit, but.
Dude, yeah, I mean, do you remember? I don't remember which. You probably would know. Which LeBron model did he not wear? Like there was a pair that he came
so
out.
he wore the Soldier 9s instead of the, not the 11s, the 12s.
The 12s. That's what it was.
The 12s were.
They were weird.
Dude, that's just a bad design.
I agree. It was a weird
and the
shoe.
10s are great. The 9s are great. The 8s are great, and the 7s are like forget about it,
dude. Yeah.
But those were bad.
They were, and he wouldn't even wear them. The fact that he wasn't wearing them, it's kind of like wow.
But the Soldier 7s were nice.
They were.
I was a fan of them. That was a good shoe.
Yep.
That had good lockdown. That was a very good shoe. I sound like I'm Kick Genius over here. That was one of my favorite YouTube channels.
Dude, I miss Kick Genius. I wish they were still. I mean, they're still sort of making content.
There's space for that in the market.
I agree.
There's 100% a ton of opportunity. Like I grew up watching, you know, because basketball shoes what got me into shoes. So like, I grew up watching Nightwing 2303.
Of course, yep.
Kick
Shout out to Chris.
Genius.
Yep. Shout out to Jay.
Yeah, like those were some of my favorite channels growing up.
Totally, yeah.
Like, I was watching them because again I was interested in basketball shoes. But I can't think of anyone now who I'm like, oh, that's like the sneaker, the basketball shoe specifically, like person.
Well, Nightwing still does it. Do you still watch Nightwing, or do you not watch it on YouTube?
I mean, I have 11 pairs of my.
No, fair enough. I think you're set with the buying advice.
Yeah, on basketball shoes.
Makes sense. So what do you think about the Sabrinas? Because I've actually never owned a pair of the Sabrinas.
They're literally, this is a Kobe 5 replica.
Really?
Like the fit. I probably wouldn't ball in them.
Okay.
Just because they don't have enough cushioning.
Gotcha.
For me personally. But as far as like day-to-day wear.
Yeah.
Like fire,
dude.
It's either these 2160s or Gel 83s.
That's awesome. The ASICS 2160s, the GT 2160s.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're super comfortable.
They are, dude. They're mad comfy.
I like them better than the 1130s just because
I do too.
The tongue is actually a little bit like more supported.
Yep.
I think the tongue is actually connected to the footbed, which makes a big difference because like on the 1130s you get so much tongue slide that like it ends up falling down the shoe. It becomes a headache. And I like stuff like again like you can just slip it on and go.
That's awesome. That's really good insight too, because that's something I've never really gotten into an in-depth discussion about the ASICs, those particular differences between those two. It's so interesting that you said that because that's stuff that I've subconsciously notice. And now that you're saying it, I'm like, wow, he's right.
The 2160 also has more cushioning and like it's a little bit more well built out because I think
it's a more expensive shoe, right? Like more premium.
Yeah. If you look at it from like a pricing perspective, right? Like the 1130 retails at 95, the 2160 retails at 120, and then the Keanu retails at 150 and 160.
Right.
So like it is just incrementally slightly more technology in each.
Totally.
The only thing I don't like about the Keanu 14 is like I've never liked shoes that have like the curve in the front.
Yeah,
because it feels like you're like Kyrie's always have that, where like it feels like you're like leaning forward. If that makes sense.
I know exactly.
I'm never
what
a
you
big
mean.
fan of that.
Yeah. So okay, what are trends that you're noticing in sneakers now? Like you see stuff coming into the store all the time. You see stuff selling. Like what would you say are the top like 5 silhouettes currently? 5
silhouettes. So I think 4s are still in.
Right.
5s now are getting some traction because
Nice.
I mean the reimagines went like insane.
That surprised me. I didn't realize because like looking at just a year ago, Jordans were not moving like that.
Yeah.
Like you could drop like
it's
a crazy.
It's got to be the right colorway.
Yeah.
Like
fair.
I think there are even some good colorways that sit like dude the Lucky shorts. I thought those were fire. Like,
Amazing.
I'm a fan of like
Same.
I love white shoes.
Yep.
A little bit. I mean, to UNC.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like everything that has UNC should be like a hit.
And the quality, like it's still a Jordan, but like it felt good.
Yeah,
like it was nice.
That is a good shoe. But again, they're heavily under retail. Even I mean, it's very like to be honest, the way we do it is like I almost wait for a shoe to come out before I decide like how much we're going to invest in it because. I mean, look at Galaxy Foamposites. Look at even better example. Look at SB4s.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
I had wholesalers sending me lists of them at ask plus 40 when they were at like 525 ish.
Right.
And like we'll buy a run because like at some level like you have to have at least a run for the people who come in and ask for them.
Right.
But like now they're almost retail.
Dude, I know, and
which is like. And that's a great. I think I like the blue better, and I like I'm biased because blue's my favorite color.
Right, all right.
But the blue's better than the green. You can wear way more with the blue than the green, even in Eagles. I mean, even the Eagles says with the green. But the gum bottom with the blue and the white is like,
bro, it's crazy.
It's such a good color.
Yep.
How is it retail? And it's like
shocking.
That's supposed to be like the shoe.
Yeah.
It makes no sense,
bro.
There's something like I feel like. I'll call it now, right? 12 months from now, there's going to be something that comes out that like, there's got to be some other force that's like causing the market to just plummet. Cause you tell me, right? Like to me, it doesn't make sense. Cause I do see the demand. I do see people wanting the shoes, like especially people who are like really sneaker fans. And I feel like when people who are, now again, you definitely need the general public to like get behind a release and really want it too.
Right.
People who aren't necessarily like big sneakerheads, but I feel like those releases, like everyone's on board that like that is going to hit and they just tank.
Dude, it's crazy because it was hitting and then that sneakers drop happened and then everyone hit on it.
Yeah.
Do you think there was like way more stuff?
Numbers?
I have no idea.
I should know that.
Bro, you know what's crazy? Like I've been into sneaker. I mean, I've been doing sneaker YouTube for about 9 years now, and then like even that, like I've always seen on Twitter like numbers floating around. I have no idea if they're real or not. I've never been like I see people. Is there like obvious
ChatGPT?
Yeah, right. Really? Is that the way to go?
I don't know.
Is there like
I should know. You don't know. I don't know. It's pretty bad.
I mean, there's no way. I thought I had a lot of industry connections, but none of them would ever tell. Like they'd be like, maybe there's more than usual on this release, or it's less than usual. That's all I'd ever get. Like when I asked people,
I heard for the Kobe's there was a ton of pairs.
Really?
Like I know.
I mean, that makes sense. The price
numbers I heard from just people around were that like Cherry Hill Foot Locker had close to like in total, even with the restocks, was like 400 pairs.
Really?
Like,
that's huge then.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a Foot Locker.
Like I said, my first camp out was KD4 and Pearls. I remember. So it's funny. Our manager now at Cherry Hill was the manager at the time there. So even crazier story. He sold me my first pair of shoes at Cherry Hill Foot Locker, and now he works for us at SoFly. It's very shout out to Mike. Mike's the GOAT. But
shout out to Mike.
It's a crazy, it's a small world shoes.
That's crazy.
But I remember when Ant Pearls came out,
right.
They had 14 pairs.
Really?
So you're talking about like, again, there's a lot of similarities there, right? A super hyped up player release, 400 versus 14.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously the market's going to be askew.
I mean, that's crazy. Well, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about fakes because I did a video at your store about 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
I think it was longer than that.
Longer? Okay.
Maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. And so basically, to give you all some behind the scenes, if you didn't know what the video is about or not.
Check out the video.
Yeah, check out the video. So it's
CTAs. We need CTAs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll link it down there. But the video, so essentially I bought 3 pairs of Travis Scotts, one from each of the major platforms. Like, I tried to buy it from Poison, they didn't send it to me. It was stupid.
Insane.
They didn't have it in stock. Like, how do you not have that? Whatever. They sponsored my channel, so I probably shouldn't hate on them too much.
Goat asked them how they picked that name?
No, I have no idea. I think they're a Chinese brand, and I haven't.
Right,
I've never talked to them directly.
Even crazier to me.
Yeah.
A Chinese brand coming to America, and your name is Poison.
Right.
They get. I understand.
I'm sure they get some flack for that.
Anyway. That's gonna get cut regardless, so it's okay.
But so the thought was I'd buy the same pair of sneakers from each, because I do this every year, from each major platform, and I tried to buy a shoe that I thought would be relatively fake, just because it'd be kind of interesting. So I bought the Travis ones.
The Travises are always
the mediums. Dude, I know, it's crazy. So I bought one from each Goat, StockX, and eBay. I had my own personal pair, which I'd gotten from Whatnot, and I took them to your store, had them legit checked. Frustratingly enough, my personal pair was the fake one, which, especially seeing it against the other 3, it's like, yeah, it was definitely fake.
Yeah.
But it was interesting seeing the variation between the 3 different pairs. Which, so to get, again, not to ruin the video for people, but the eBay pair was perfect. StockX pair was great. The Goat pair, though, while me and who helped me at the store? Alex. While me and Alex were like looking at it. Shout out to Alex, by the way. He's awesome.
If you ever want tacos in the South Jersey area, Los Chulos. That's his family restaurant.
Let's go.
His mom makes we're taking a tangent here, the best tortillas you've ever had.
I'm gonna have to. I'm literally gonna have to go now.
Oh, Taco Tuesday.
Let's do it for real. Let's do it up. That'd be awesome. Dude, I'm so down.
We'll do a special edition podcast.
That'll be sick. I'd love that. Seriously.
Live from the taqueria.
Bro, let's legit do that. But okay, so the pair from Goat, it ended up probably being legit, but what was really interesting that Alex said was like, there's enough problems with it to, even if it is legit, you can't sell it, because someone would buy it and be like, have the same problems that I had, because basically it was the Cactus Jack branding on the medial side that was like a completely different shade of red than all the other pairs. And it's like, sure, it could be a real pair from the factory, but like people are going to wear that and everyone's going to call them out, or they're never going to be able to resell again or whatever. So it was really interesting seeing, and I wanted to ask you about this sort of navigating fakes in retail. Like, how do you deal with that?
So we try to be as careful as possible, just making sure that everything gets checked, double checked, and like, if I have a question on something and I'm buying in the store, if Alex is buying in the store, whatever, like we ask each other. If there's a shoe that we're not sure about, we run it through Entropy to be completely transparent.
Makes
just because it just allows us to cover our bases, and they financially guarantee all the shoes that we buy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, that's a big thing, because at the end of the day, right? Like, why thinking about it, a couple layers of magnitude ahead, like, why does it matter if the shoe is fake? Well, it matters because it's the monetary value of the shoe.
Totally.
So for us, it's about making sure that if that shoe turns out to be fake, we want to make sure that we get our money back. And if a customer ever has something wrong with the shoe, we take it back and refund them immediately.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think there's definitely a lot of variation, especially with like the lack of quality control from a lot of companies.
Right.
So like, speaking to the Goat pair, for example, one of the things we do to kind of cut that out is all of our products in store, we just switched onto a system called Consigner, Consign R.
Okay.
Shout out to Justin and the team, Phil,
Justin,
and all the boys.
Okay.
And Data, their dog. He's chill too.
That's awesome.
Clayton's dog.
Anyway, that's
awesome. They have a really good system. One of the reasons though we switched to them was for inventory management. They're serialized.
Okay.
So every single shoe, right? Let's say we have 10 pairs of size 10 Pandas. Each one is, this one might be serial 1. The box and that display shoe is 1 and 1. So I know if I sell you a shoe, it's that exact pair.
Right.
I can tell you exactly where it came from. I can tell you, I can tell you exactly where it came from, exactly what we paid, exactly the time and day we bought it, who bought it, where we bought it, whatever.
That's amazing.
And they're adding, not to get like too like nerdy, but and a lot of resellers can probably attest to this.
Right.
But in shoes in general, there's such high levels of variation.
Right.
You could have, again, the same shoe, because we don't work with, the same suppliers all the time. And I might be at a show and buy a shoe. I might be in the store, buy a shoe. I might be dealing with this wholesaler and buy a shoe. I might get a shoe off Whatnot, whatever it is, right? So being able to see exactly where that shoe came from, when we bought it, how we bought it, allows us to kind of mitigate that variation and allows us to treat each product how it should be treated, because there's such a high level of variation. This pair might be worn, this pair might be new, they both are the same size, and this one might not have a box, this one might not have insoles, whatever it is. It allows us, again, to look at it at a more granular level, so that we can just make sure, like you said, like, let's say this pair has a flaw, right? And I'm selling this size 10 Travis Scott olive. And like you said, this one has, the Jumpman's redder on this, both shoes of this pair overall. I want to make sure the customer doesn't get one that has that slight difference and this one that doesn't have a slight difference. I want that pair to be exactly the same.
Right.
So that was a really big thing for us. So that's kind of how we mitigate like those issues is, again, making sure that if you're getting a pair, it's no, like this is that pair.
Right.
It's not just any pair. It's the pair they were manufactured together.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's so cool. I don't think, is that still a pretty new thing that like not a lot of stores have?
So they work with a couple stores.
Okay.
I don't know. And again, this is something that we should do more anyway, because that's, I think, a very good, like, even just talking about it with you, I think it's a good selling point for, like, again, why buy from Soleply? It's like, dude, like I try to think like a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would the platinum rule, right? The golden rule is great, but the platinum rule is don't treat others how you want to be treated, treat them how they want to be treated. So trying to think like a sneakerhead, like, what do they want?
Right.
Well, if I'm a sneakerhead, if I'm Seth Fowler and, you know, I have an appearance to make and I'm going to show this shoe off in a video, I want to make sure that, like, both those shoes, when they're on feet, because no one's going to be looking at your shoes more than you.
That's true.
I want to make sure, when I look down, like, that swoosh isn't a slightly darker brown than the other one.
Totally.
Because that's just, like, that's going to irk everybody.
Absolutely.
So you just make sure, again, like, those pairs are the exact same.
And it's true, like, really, you wear shoes because of the way it makes you feel when you're wearing them. And if you're thinking about that swoosh being a different color.
One of the reasons I got into shoes when I was younger is because, like, I wanted attention from girls. I thought it was going to be, let's just
and you ended up just getting a bunch of attention from dudes who like sneakers.
It's the same way with the gym now. Listen, it never changes, you know. It's always the same.
Oh, that's great. Oh, my gosh. So what would you say has been your favorite shoe of all time? Do you have, like, a favorite?
KD 7 Pearl is my favorite shoe.
That's awesome. That's a good one.
The Ronnie Fieg, what the Gel 83 is also up there.
Love
I have a pair
too.
that's like one of my favorite shoes.
Love those too.
Salmon toes.
Of course.
Gel 83s are like, I've been on the Knicks. Like,
yep.
The overall quality, overall feel, the real simple shoes.
Yeah.
And I like stuff you can just slip on and go.
Totally.
And like, they match a lot. I love low tops. You can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with joggers. You can wear them with shorts. You can wear them whatever. So I'm a big fan of like all that kind of stuff.
Dude, it's great that you like. So the Gel 3s, I feel like, so for the 2010s, I wasn't really on ASICs, but the only pair that I really was familiar with was the Gel 3s. Yeah. But now that ASICs is just popping off, like no one cares about the Gel 3s anymore.
Nah, they want the new styles.
They
want the new styles.
Which is crazy because they're actually the old styles.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like the Gel 3 is newer than half of these shoes that are out right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's such a good silhouette that people just, I mean, there are definitely, I mean, obviously probably most people watching this know what the Gel 3s are, but the general public, you know, isn't as familiar with, it's a great silhouette.
You'd be surprised. Most people, like, I'll wear Gel 3s and someone will come in wearing 21/6 Chicanos and be like, what brand is that?
Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, it happens though. Because again, like, especially because we're a mall store, like we do serve the general public to a certain extent. So, you know, they're not necessarily, like, not everybody walks through the doors what I would consider a sneakerhead. They're just people who like, oh, maybe they want something a little bit different. Or again, they might just come in and be like, it's a sneaker store.
Right. One thing I've always wanted to ask a sneaker store owner is when it comes to pricing, obviously sneaker stores have to be more expensive because of the overhead costs and things like that. Where do you find the balance? Like, how do you so for example, a new release comes out, right? Like, let's say the Metallic 5s. How do you price them? Like, what goes into your thoughts when you're pricing them? Like, is it
we look at the market, we look at the demand. We'll, you know, if we get our first batch in, I'll look at like other area stores and what they're, you know, selling them at. I'll try to be comparable. I try not to undercut a whole lot, just because, again, like in Cherry Hill specifically, as of right now, we're the only store. There is another store coming.
Okay.
But literally, like, we try to be somewhere in the range that I think is realistic. And again, like, I will also, let's say we put out a batch, right, and it flies.
Right.
I'm just gonna be honest, like, I'm obviously gonna increase
of
a little
course.
bit more because it's just it's supply and demand, right? Like, and if we see that demand start to trend downwards, we just lower the price. So it's really just about, you know, looking at the market, looking at what it's doing, looking at what the consumers are coming in looking for, looking at what we have in stock. Like, if we're overstocking something, we lower it. One of the other things that I really liked about Consigner, and we had this on our old platform, Sneaker Portal, which Sneaker Portal is great. Again, shout out to Donish. I like them. I really wanted the serialization. That was like really important to me.
Right.
So we switched off. Donish is still like a good friend of mine. He owns, you should, if he's ever in the area, he owns a store down in North Carolina called Courtside.
Okay.
He's another person who, like, I look up to a lot as far as just the overall aesthetic and like the brand that he's built with his store. I mean, he's been in business he's at the store for I think 10 years now.
Wow,
like,
that's amazing.
I mean, he's like very knowledgeable.
Right.
Anyway, not to get off on a tangent, but we all of our items are automatically repriced daily.
Oh, cool.
So, like, not every single item, but it basically shuffles through the sizing. So, like, 8.5s, for example, one day, if it meets a certain threshold, we have an algorithm on the back end that will automatically reprice our shoes to keep them more in line with the market value.
Really? Is that why a lot of stores don't have prices on their shoes and just have QR codes because they change the prices often?
I think there's two reasons for that. Either they do that because, like, we're different than a lot of stores. The the display shoe is the shoe for sale. So
Gotcha.
we're shot by size. A lot of stores are obviously shot by style. Like
Right.
if you go to Foot Locker, if you go to Champs, you go to any other footwear store, they're pretty much all shot by style.
So they're all 180, all 190. Gotcha.
Well, it's not only that, but like if they have this, if they have Sabrina's out, they have one shoe out and they have 20 in the back. We have it so that like our whole store, if you've been there, it's organized by size.
Gotcha.
So if you look at the size 11 wall, those are the size 11s we have. We might have more in the back, but generally like those are the size 11s that we have. So that's why each shoe for us is individually priced. Whereas if you're a store that's shot by style, because the 9, the 10, the 11 might be different prices. It's just easier to obviously have someone take the QR code, scan it, and then be like, oh, like I need a 10. Okay, yeah, we have a 10. The 10's $425. And then another person comes along, oh, I need an 11. Oh, the 11's $450. You know what I mean? Like
that makes sense.
Yeah. And also, it makes, if you're shot by style, it makes a ton more sense because it also, the inventory is dynamic, right? It's changing every single day. So if you sell one, you don't have to, reapply a sticker every time.
That makes it. One thing I will say that I really like about the way that you have it with the shop by size is like I literally can go and, for example, like I buy a lot of early shoes, and I know you guys don't really get into early that much, but like if I'm going to buy a personal pair, like I can go in and see like, okay, this is literally what they have. I don't even have to ask. I can be like, okay, if they don't have the style I'm looking for, great. Like I know that.
Yeah,
you know
the original reason we did that is because like, so we actually, I'll go back a little bit. I didn't even want to open a store originally.
Okay.
I just wanted to have kind of like a setup you had here.
Yeah,
but I wanted to do my house. Like
Nice.
I was under contract for 2 different houses to make them like house/warehouse.
Oh, that's
houses.
awesome.
So basically just have all of my shoes. I would live there, and then, during the day I'd have people working, cleaning, listing, and then I would ship them out. And my whole job was like, we travel the country, go to sneaker shows, bring the shoes back, list them, sell them online, and that's
dope.
it. But we visited 2 friends who had a store in Soul Stop. Shout out to Bailey, called Soul Stop in Ohio.
Okay.
Shout out to Bailey and Wes. Very good friends, very good people.
Awesome.
Again, sneaker industry is full of like,
dude, for
solid
real,
people.
yeah, absolutely.
Very solid people.
Absolutely.
There's obviously some people who aren't so solid, but
Yeah.
there's I would say I'll err on the side. There's a lot more people that are genuine and
Agreed.
real.
Yeah.
But their store actually is what motivated us to open, and they're still shot by size.
Okay.
So we went there, really liked the store, really liked what they were doing. During COVID, I could literally walk to Foot Locker, grab a shoe off the wall, put it on our wall for $50 more, and it was gonna go. Like, you couldn't keep anything in stock. It didn't matter what it was. Like, somebody was gonna buy it.
Right. Right.
And we just saw how much they were doing, and we were like, oh, like, all right, let's give it a shot. So we went to Moorestown Mall, which is actually like a super dead mall.
Yeah.
I think now that we're gone, there might actually be nothing in that mall. So we opened up there. The rent was like super cheap. The rent was like $3,000 a month, which we had like 4,500 square feet or 3,500 square feet.
Right.
But I mean, that's like, dude, that's free.
Yeah,
like
that's nothing. Yeah.
Like I said, like I was under contract on houses that were more expensive than that, even with a mortgage.
Yeah.
And like with less space.
Dude, I mean, our warehouse here, and it's a pretty small space, is about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
so,
and we're not even in a city. You know what I mean? Like,
it was during COVID. You definitely you still can. Honestly, if anyone out there is looking for warehouse space or just space in general,
this is Moorestown
a
Mall.
lot of these struggling mall companies will make a deal. If you go out and you just shoot your shot, they're looking for someone to take over these spaces.
Is there a chance that the mall could just close down all of a sudden you lose the space, or can they not break the lease?
They can technically break the lease, but I mean, that's not going to happen.
Right. Gotcha.
They're not just going to. You would hear about a redevelopment project way in advance because that takes if you're going to demolish a mall, it takes a lot of red tape.
Makes sense.
Especially in Moorestown.
Yeah.
And some of those
Jersey's
more.
wild.
If you're in an affluent county, it's. Listen, the bureaucrats are going to get paid.
Yeah.
And they're going to take their time with all that shit. So
of course.
But no, that's definitely. It was super cheap. So we opened. We got open. I mean, it was literally like we built that store ourselves. Mm-hmm. I remember we built the first 3 or 4 stores ourselves.
Okay.
And that was like. Not my favorite. Doing flooring is probably the worst
I bet.
job ever.
Yeah,
That's literally
for
terrible.
sure.
Luckily, again, Tommy's
laminate.
No, we did LVT, but like, for example, Cherry Hill, it was like 3,000 square feet of carpet. It used to be a store called Shoe Show. Okay, if you've ever heard of them, but they have
I go to the Cherry Hill Mall all the time.
I have never seen so much glue.
Really,
it was insane, and like. We didn't even have the machine to rip up the carpet.
Right.
It was us with the gripper things. Literally, like, I have calluses on my hands now,
Right.
but my hands were like ripped apart from doing that for I think like 24 hours straight, just ripping carpet up.
That sucks. That
was,
really sucks.
That was pretty terrible. So luckily, we still do some of the work ourselves now, but we have contractors.
Right, makes sense.
Anyway, we built that store ourselves. It was like really a team effort. Like Tommy's family was there. My family was there. My dad still does some electrical work for us. Even though he's 84, he'll still get on a ladder and take care of stuff. Thank God, because I'm not super handy.
Me neither,
I can get
man.
it done. If I watch a YouTube video, I'll figure it out.
Totally, but
no, it was bootstrapped in the beginning for sure.
That's awesome.
And again, we're kind of getting back to that now, but
fair enough.
we're getting there, one step at a time.
Gotcha. How did you market your store initially? Like, how did you?
All Instagram.
Okay, really?
It was all Instagram. So
really.
Yeah, one of the biggest pieces was were the people we hired. It's like, you know Alex, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people obviously, they knew me around, like, everybody in school knew me
Right.
as the shoe guy. So when I said I was opening a store, like, obviously you take some of your following, you take some of whoever you're hired following. Tommy didn't have, like, a huge following, but, like, again, people knew that we did shoes.
Right.
So they would come over and follow the page. And then, to be honest, it was just a lot of Instagram. So we would... And again, this is why I say, like, getting back to our roots, and kind of why I alluded to, like, how I think District 1, Kicktronics, and Round 2 really, like, build an audience, because we gave out good deals. Like, if I bought a shoe for a good deal, we threw a steal. Like, if I had something I wanted to get rid of, throw it for a steal. Because I'm going to be honest, I would rather, even if I lose money on that item, I would rather have the hype that it generates plus the person who buys it and who gets a good deal and is, like, super excited about the shoe they just bought.
Totally.
Dude, you're going to get customers for life that way.
Yeah.
And overall, like, when you think of CAC, like, that's worth it. I would take a $50 loss on a shoe to have a customer for life, because the LTV on that customer is probably going to be way higher than someone who just comes in and is like, oh, that's a shoe I like, but the price point's not great, but whatever. Like, I would much rather throw a steal, give someone a good deal, and have that perception, and again, that customer.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
in the beginning, that's what it was, like, just throwing deals, doing like the guerrilla marketing, where, like, we're just doing fun shit on Instagram, making a fool of ourselves, which we still do, which is something we need to do more of, honestly. I definitely think we get to professionalize a little bit. That definitely helps, like, a little bit higher quality, especially if we're going to do, like, some kind of long form, or try to definitely not trying to be like Culture Kicks exactly, but definitely do some of their content. Because, like, this is something I talk about Tommy all the time. Like, I don't want to say we were the original, but I have pictures from, like, literally, like, 2016, 2017, where we had I promise you, like, we were definitely the first to have the We Buy Everything sign.
That's awesome.
Nobody had We Buy Everything sign. Like, we literally, it wasn't even, Tommy had this tent that his family used for graduations and, like, family get-togethers or whatever. It was just a standard white backyard tent. And then we would drive to cities, like, we would drive to Cleveland. Farthest we ever drove was Milwaukee. Okay. Because that's even farther than Chicago, I think. We did drive to Chicago. No, we drove to Florida. Technically, that's the farthest, but the farthest west was Milwaukee.
Makes sense.
And we get into town day early. We go to Home Depot. We get the big, it's like Elmer's white paper.
Right.
And we would just write in big black Sharpie,
That's awesome.
We buy everything.
That's
and we would
awesome.
tape it to every side of this tent. Like, this is
Oh my
before
gosh.
we even had, like, a real tent.
Right.
And we always talk about, like, could you imagine if we had started making content then?
Dude, for real.
Like,
For real.
Like, I would be who I think I am. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it would be crazy.
Yeah.
So, again, you got to definitely look back and understand where the mistakes are, and just kind of say, like, oh, like, it's either one day or day one. So, like, that's kind of what we got to get into.
You still could do that. I think that content would still pop. You know what I mean?
It would
Like,
still do well, but it's just
absolutely.
now we're kind of... I'm a little worried that we get lost in the sea of people.
Yeah,
that do
but
it,
I
'cause
think
it is a little saturated.
It is, but I think that a lot of it, like, I mean, you look at what's interesting too is, like, you see that Culture Kicks and, for example, again, Rami the Icon, like, they're doing the same thing, but it's so different.
Heat Archive too is
Heat
now,
Archive, exactly.
popping off a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Sneak City does.
Yeah.
I don't know if do they still do that?
Yeah.
A little bit. Okay,
I watch
cool.
their videos here and there.
Oh, that's all. Okay, cool.
I kind of watch for the comments of this.
Fair enough.
All the little time markers.
Fair.
I'll let
yeah.
the audience fill in the blanks.
Well, so I feel like there's still, everyone has their own unique personality and their own unique, like, I think you could easily sort of slot in there and be like your own, I mean, you could be yourself.
I
and
think we
people
could
would
do
watch
it. Listen, it's definitely worth doing. It definitely cannot hurt, because
Right.
I think, I'm not afraid to be myself on camera. I'm not afraid
Right.
to be on camera. It's just, we got to get more organized. It's definitely something we got to.
Plus, you got a storefront. Like, not a lot of people have that. Like, it makes, like, I think the reason that Rami and those guys, like, I think there's a lot of guys actually starting out of that store. They just, like, because people are always coming in selling sneakers. I'm sure you probably get.
I think some
good
of it
amount.
is just consistency too.
Totally, 100%.
Like I said, like
100%.
I think there's not to get like too, everything I say is a quote, but you know, you can be in the top 10% of podcasters just by doing 10 podcasts.
Yeah.
Because most people just fall off so quickly.
Your podcast number, you might be number 10. You're either number 9 or number 10, but you're close.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we are.
But no, literally, like if you just make content consistently, it's like we literally started talking about with Chase and Culture, like you either way you're laying a foundation, and then it just all it takes is like one thing to be the catalyst, and then boom, like now you're popping.
Yep.
And then you have all the other content that they'll watch because it's like, oh, I found them from this, but now I'm you know what I mean? Like I do the same thing if I'm fighting a new music artist, right? Like they have one song that's a hit, and then it's like, oh shit, like all this other stuff is popping.
Dude, yep. And it's always like it's yeah, I know, I completely agree. That's a really, really good example. What sort of content or what sort of stuff do you watch? Like across social media, it doesn't have to be YouTube, it can be anything. Like
if I watch social media, generally I get a lot of business stuff.
Cool.
Obviously I'm a dude with Instagram Reels, so like I try not to watch too many twerking videos. But no, I watch like some sneaker stuff. I watch some of your stuff.
Oh, thanks.
I try to watch like Remy the Icon as much as possible. Cool Kick stuff, because obviously you want to watch like
the people who are doing it really well.
Right, who are doing it well.
Yeah.
I don't watch a ton of culture stuff. I'm not really on TikTok. I know they're pretty heavy on TikTok.
Yep.
But honestly, if I'm watching like the real stuff that I consume, would be mostly like business stuff. So like Alex Hormozy is probably my favorite. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like
awesome.
I literally on the way over this, on the way over here, I was listening to How I Built This.
Okay.
With Guy Raz.
Oh, cool.
That is a fantastic podcast.
I need to check. I've heard of it. I've never listened to it.
I'll send you an episode. But the episode I just listened to was the founder of Snap.
Oh, nice.
Talking about, dude, it's pretty crazy and that's why like I think listening to other industries, listening to people who have done the things that you want to accomplish is probably the best precursor again for like figuring out how to get there. Right. Like this is a Hormozy quote, but like I'm a big proponent of like, don't listen to your friends, listen to the people who have what you want.
Absolutely.
Because they actually have, context on like getting the things that you're actually trying to achieve.
Totally. And even though I'd say every business's problems can be different, they're all from the same root. Like it's all the same root problem usually.
Right.
Like for someone's experienced a problem that you're experiencing right now at some point.
100%.
So it's like you can learn so much from people who've done it already. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, those are very good podcasts. How I Built This is probably one of my favorites, just because again, like it talks so much, like it's literally just a real conversation from like people again who have done what you're trying to do.
Yep.
That and like autobiographies. Like I just finished Off the Wall.
Okay.
Which is
the Vans one.
Yeah.
I read that last year. It was great.
It's a good book.
It's a great book. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not. I don't think it's always about like I read that book and I wouldn't say I learned like a ton of new stuff.
Right.
But I think a lot of it is just about reaffirming lessons you already know.
Yep.
Right. Like.
Yep.
If you again, this is a Hormozy thing, but like if you reread 10 different books and they're all like really super solid books, you'll be really successful. You don't need to know all the knowledge. I just need to know the knowledge that pertains again to the thing that I'm trying to achieve.
Right. And I think what you said earlier about how failure is such a super important part of it, I think that's totally true. Like, and I think that, there's been so many pieces, specifically for me, like pieces of content, or for example, the reason I even got into YouTube, not the reason I got into YouTube, but the reason I went full time on YouTube is because I was working a full time job in New York and then got fired. And I'm like, this is my shot. Like, I got to do this. And then I went for it.
And that's what it takes. It takes that perspective.
Exactly.
Like, you know what? Like, this is an opportunity.
Yep. And the upside was so much higher. Like at the time I was living in New York. I think I was making a little bit less on YouTube than I was at my full-time job, or maybe about the same. But I got let go, and I'm like, okay, like this is my opportunity to be able to do what I love for a living, making sneaker videos, versus like working at a dog toy company designing dog toys, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Right. But it was like, I didn't enjoy it as much. I'm like, why wouldn't I chase this right now? I think I was, 2018? So I'm 33 now. Let's think of the math. My math is terrible.
33? You don't look 33.
Oh,
I thought you were younger, to be honest.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
What moisturizer you use?
None. I guess I just got that.
I saw the lotion in the bathroom. That's a nice touch. Is that Melanie or is that you? I don't know. Were you the lotion in the bathroom?
I think it might be Josh. I think Josh might be the.
I hate dry hands. I noticed that. I was like, damn, I gotta say something.
I didn't even know we had that. Hey, I'm gonna start lotioning up before I leave.
Right.
Great. Josh, it doesn't matter. But
sorry, we're getting off topic.
Yo, if you ever come to the APTHCRY office, you need some lotion. We got some in the bathroom.
You're gonna get demonetized.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Could be Osman. I don't know whose it was. But regardless, yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, so basically, it ended up being a blessing in disguise, and I think failures can be that in a lot of ways. And I think there's obviously been failures where I don't immediately see a good thing come from it.
Right.
But generally, overall, if nothing else, you learn from it. Exactly.
It's not immediate. It's like, it's got to mature a little bit, and it's just, I think it's how you it's your own perspective.
Totally.
Right? Like you had the right perspective going into that. If you look at it as you know, I literally just, I have a friend from the gym, Ken. Shout out to Ken.
Shout out
He
Ken.
has a whole channel that he's working on right now called Why Not.
Okay.
Where he literally, it's Why Not, but it's spelled, I'm not an engineer. He's an engineer. But it basically, the whole thing is like he takes engineering lingo and like engineering terms and applies it to like how you can apply it to making your life just better in general.
Right.
But the video, he literally, it's funny you say this, he literally just dropped it today, is about reframing things and, you know, looking at it as not, I have to do something, but
Right.
instead I get to.
Totally.
So, you know, as much as it sucks that, like, again, you got fired, well,
Right.
guess what? Now I get to pursue my dream because
Exactly.
I got hella free time.
Dude, and it's crazy too. Like, I can guarantee you, I wouldn't have taken that leap if I hadn't gotten fired.
Right.
Like, I would have just found another job and just kept doing YouTube afterwards. Like, and that's the point. I think I had maybe like 90,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers at the time. In that next year, I went from 100,000 to like 600,000, just because I was spending all my time working on what I was passionate
Right.
about.
And then it changes your whole frame on like
Absolutely.
what is possible.
Yeah. Absolutely, because it's really just a matter of focus. Like, if you're willing to focus on one thing, it's gonna
If
happen.
you can focus on one thing for an extended period, that's a Hormozy thing for sure. Like
Yep.
if you can focus on anything for an extended period of time, and I mean really focus and understand, like, I mean, this is a common trend throughout what we've been talking about, a trend between, you know, if you can recognize patterns of I did this and I got this result, okay,
Right.
cool, now I just need to do more of that, and you will
Totally.
get more results.
Dude, and that's a really good point. I think that people just don't. It's such an obvious.
People
thing.
believe in fairy tales. I think
They
that's
do.
like the
Yeah.
biggest thing is like they think
So true.
that. It's funny. I went on a first date and I literally, this was the conversation because she said, "What's like your biggest pet peeve?"
Right.
And I said, "I don't really have a lot. Like small things don't bother me. I don't
Right.
try to get angry. Like I don't get angry ever.
Right.
My employees will tell you that. My
That's great.
I might get mad at my parents because you know their family always triggers you.
Of course. Yeah,
but
yeah.
but no, I said my one biggest pet peeve is that people believe in fairy tales.
Yep.
Right. Like they tell themselves that, oh, because of this thing over here, that it's actually totally unrelated to whatever is actually happening.
Right.
I can't do this.
Yep.
And it's like, no, like at the end of the day, it quite literally, right? Like it's input.
Yep.
And then you get an output for it. And there's a result.
100%.
And it's just about being able to recognize, no, like this is what happened. This is what I did. And then this is what happened.
100%.
And I think that's like, if you can do that and separate, you know, or not even separate, dive into reality and be really self-conscious about, you know, and self-aware, I think that is a superpower.
100%.
That a lot of people don't have.
Dude, and I can tell you, like, in my social life, I'm not very self-aware, but in my business life, I'm still not very self-aware, but at least I'm more self-aware than in my social life, so I feel like it's helped me get to where I am. But
I don't
really,
believe that. I don't think you could do a podcast without being somewhat self-aware.
You'd be surprised, man. Somehow I do it. But no, I completely agree, and it's such a good piece of advice for people. Hopefully, you guys are listening to this at home and being like, yeah, you know what? Let that get in there, because that's really, honestly,
You're listening to Hippocrates a little bit, but I'm doing my best.
Well, I feel like a lot of it is, I mean, even though we both know this piece of advice, like we both get better at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's things that, no matter where you are in your journey, you could always get better at whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk could always be, even though he's the richest man in the world, whether you agree with what he does or not, he still could get better at everything. Everything he's good at, he could be better at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that I'm not like a huge, I don't have a problem with Elon, but whatever. This is not political. This is not a thing.
It doesn't have to get political.
All I was saying was that
objectively,
the
he's
richest
very
man in the
successful.
world.
Objectively,
Yes.
there's really not any, like, all the people that I look up to, that's who they look up to. So guess what? Get over it.
There you
Like
go.
I'm not political. I'm apolitical as
Fair
it gets.
enough. Yep.
My dad has CNN on 24/7. That's why I have noise canceling headphones around the house. So.
Yep, dude, I just can't get sucked into it, because if I get sucked into it, it's just gonna take over my mind. I just try and avoid politics at all costs. Just stay away from it. Yeah.
I almost no benefit to it.
No, for real. But yeah, man, on that political note, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you being
course,
here.
yeah.
Where can everyone find you?
So we're at Soleply on Instagram.
Okay.
That's our main channel, or our main channel right now. That's where we post everything. We have one store at the Cherry Hill Mall. We're actually opening another store in King of Prussia Mall.
Oh,
It'll
very
be opening
cool.
August 1. We get possession May 1st. So
Nice.
that's coming soon. And upward and onward for Soleply. That's
awesome,
the goal.
man. Dude, well, thank you so much for being on, dude. I really
Appreciate
appreciate it. Now let's do some sock shopping. Let's get you
For
some
sure.
socks. For all the YouTube exclusive watchers, you get to see Dustin pick out some socks. Cool. So let's do it.
Thank you.
All right, so we're about to do some sock shopping at the APTHCRY office. So just grab whatever you want, man.
Okay. You got to walk me through. You got to show off some of the. What are some of your favorites?
Okay, so my favorites are the essentials, which are like the more basic colors, the simple
Okay.
colors. We just got in black and white. They just restocked.
Okay.
We've got the limited stuff here. We've got like, I'm wearing this, not this one. I'm
All
wearing
right. Orange is a little too loud for me.
Fair
to be
enough,
honest
fair
with you.
enough. We've got the basketball themed collaboration we just dropped.
Who's the collab with?
Nathan Walker. So he's an artist out of, he's from New York, but I think he lives in Austin now. And he does like basketball themed socks. He's a big Knicks fan, unfortunately. But you've got like...
They had a good run yesterday.
That's true. But no, they lost against the Pistons, didn't they?
Did they? They had a good run in one of the quarters. I know that. They scored, they were like 25 unanswered, right?
Yep. Oh, you know what? Let me grab you some performance basketball socks.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm a world-class athlete, as everyone knows.
White and black. These are our basketball performance socks.
Okay.
They're our Gen 1, though, so they obviously could be... I think they're great, but they could be improved.
Okay.
So.
I can definitely give you some feedback.
Awesome. Yeah, you do ball, bro. Like,
A little bit.
you ball at least
Keeps
a little
it keeps you sane. You know what I mean? All right. So you said essentials.
Okay, so we got the essentials on the back wall here.
I need to get some pretty much broke merch too.
Oh, bro, we're out of that.
So
Bro,
that's. I'm gonna be honest. That stuff is fire.
We got a hat, though. You want a hat?
Sure.
I got you a hat. Okay, cool. Do we have any of the blue or green left, or are these ones that are Osman's? No, blue and a Soleply blue. And
Damn, I'm getting
black.
hooked up here.
There we go. There we go.
This with the shades is gonna be.
Bro, and it's a really similar blue, actually.
I'm not normally a hat guy, but for the summer, definitely.
Let's go.
Appreciate it. You said earth tones.
Some more limited collections here. Like, we got Easter, we got graffiti.
Let me grab a. You got black and white. I'll definitely grab black and white.
Awesome.
Are they by size?
So we've got extra large, medium large. What size are you?
I wear an 11.
Oh, so yeah, medium large is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is black and white, right?
That's black, and then white's right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got
I got the new Lululemon dress pants. So
Let's
these are gonna
go.
with that.
Let's go.
I don't want to go crazy. I mean, I feel bad.
You can grab whatever you want. We also have. Are you an Eagles fan?
I am.
Okay, we got Kelly Green.
Okay, definitely. I'll take
some
another
Kelly
green.
green.
Okay, that'll work. Damn, I'm getting to the teeth here.
Do we have any
This is
Soleply
crazy.
blue? I don't think our blue is exactly. This is like a light blue. That's a
Oh,
university
I like.
blue.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
This
Oh,
is
these are
insane.
small. Let me get you a medium. It's a medium.
Thank
and
you.
Do we have?
You guys don't do any ankle cut, do you?
We do. Oh, did we get any ankle in, or are they out? Okay, they're out. Currently out.
Ankle cut is my, especially when I'm not wearing Soleply size. That's my favorite.
We may only have small.
How small? It'll still stretch.
Take it and try it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, doing a gray one. So the gray one is like the XL.
What about you guys? Don't do mid cut too, do you?
We have a mid. It's coming in.
Okay. Everything I want. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Tough customer, you know?
We've got no shows.
If I were you, I'd kick me out by now. It's
Let's see. Anything else you want? We've got a bunch of different colors, like pretty much every color under the sun.
Let me steal one small of these
Of course, yeah, perfect.
for a friend of mine.
Awesome.
I'm not naming them on the show. I think this is more than I could already ask for.
Okay.
This is insane.
Well, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for
Seth,
stopping by, man.
I appreciate
Pleasure.
it. Let me know. Let me know when we do the reunion tour.
We gotta do the taco place, dude.
Yo, for sure. Los
Do it.
Chulos. No, I gotta get better spray. This is not like dollar bills.
There we go. Let's go.